The celebration was loud on the bridge of the Prophet's Edge. Captain Vexhai raised his drink high, the purple liquid sloshing in the crystal glass. His crew cheered around him, a mix of different alien species, all united by one thing. They were pirates, and they had just pulled off their biggest job yet. "To the mining colony of Kepler-7!" Vexhai shouted. His four arms spread wide, showing off his muscular Zephyrian build. "They thought their security systems could stop us. They were wrong," the crew laughed and drank. There was Slicks, the snake-like serpentine who could hack any computer. Beside him sat three rockmen, their stone-like skins still covered in mining dust from the raid. Near the back, a group of insectoids clicked their mandibles in what passed for laughter among their kind. The mining colony had been easy prey. The colonists were simple folk, just trying to make a living digging rare metals from asteroid rocks. They had money, they had resources, and best of all, they had no real weapons. It was the perfect target for Vexhai's crew. "Boss!" called out Zark, the ship's communications officer. He was a small, green-skinned goblin with large ears. "The cargo hold is full. We got enough rare metals to buy 3 more ships." "And the colonists?" Vexhai asked, though he already knew the answer. "Scared but alive, just like you ordered," Zark replied. "No unnecessary killing." Vexhai nodded. He was a pirate, yes, but he was not a monster. Dead people could not work to replace what was stolen. Dead people brought more attention from the Galactic Authority. It was better business to leave them alive and scared. The ship's AI suddenly spoke in its calm electronic voice. "Attention, pirates. Intruder identified. Species 001, human." The bridge went silent. Every conversation stopped. Every drink was slowly lowered. "What did it say?" whispered Slicks, his serpentine body coiling nervously. "Species 001, repeated Vexhai slowly. "That's impossible." Everyone knew the legend of Species 001. It was the first entry in the ancient Galactic Archive, the massive database that recorded every known intelligent species in the galaxy. But Species 001 was just a myth, a story told to young aliens about the mysterious first civilization that supposedly created the archive itself. Most scientists believed Species 001 never existed. Others thought they went extinct millions of years ago. But all the stories agreed on one thing. If Species 001 was real, they were dangerous beyond imagination. "AI, repeat the message," Vexhai ordered, his voice shaking slightly. "Attention, pirates. Intruder identified. Species 001, human." "Human," said Drock, one of the rockmen. His voice sounded like grinding stones. "I have heard this word before. In old stories." Vexhai quickly moved to the security console. His fingers danced over the controls, bringing up camera feeds from all over the ship. "Where is this intruder?" The cameras showed empty corridors. Normal crew members going about their duties. Everything looked fine until... There! Zark pointed at one screen. A figure moved through the lower decks. It was bipedal, like many species, but something about it seemed different. The figure wore some kind of armor that looked almost primitive compared to modern gear. No energy shields, no plasma coating, just simple metal plates. "How did it get on board?" Vexhai demanded. "Unknown," the AI replied. "No breach detected, no unauthorized docking, no teleportation signature." On the screens, they watched the figure move with purpose. It knew exactly where it was going. The figure stopped at a maintenance panel, removed some kind of device, and plugged it into the ship's systems. "What is it doing?" Slicks hissed. There. Question was answered when the ship's weapon systems went offline. Every energy cannon, every missile launcher, every defensive system, all dark. "Impossible," breathed Vexhai. "Our weapons have 17 different security layers." The figure on the screen seemed to hear him. It looked directly at the camera and waved. Panic spread through the bridge crew. The insectoids began clicking rapidly in their fear language. The rockmen formed a defensive circle. Slick started typing, frantically at his computer, trying to regain control of the weapons. "I can't get them back online," Slicks reported. "Whatever that thing did, it's locked me out of my own systems." The figure continued moving through the ship. It disabled the internal defense turrets with the same casual ease. Security doors that should have locked automatically remained open. Alarm systems that should have been screaming remained silent. "Captain," called the ship's engineer over the comm system. "Something is wrong with the engines. They're running, but I can't control them." "What do you mean?" Vex-High snapped. "It's like something else is flying the ship now. The controls don't respond to me anymore." On the security screens, the figure had reached the elevator to the upper decks. It stepped inside and began rising toward the bridge. "Everyone, battle positions!" Vex-High ordered. The crew scrambled. The rockmen grabbed their heavy plasma rifles. The insectoids drew their energy blades. Slicks pulled out his shock pistol. Even Zark found a weapon somewhere. But as they watched the figure approach on the cameras, doubt crept into their minds. This single intruder had taken control of their entire ship in minutes. It had bypassed security systems that had taken years to install. And it had done it all without triggering a single alarm. "Maybe we should try to talk to it," suggested Zark nervously. "Talk to a species 001? Drock rumbled. "If the stories are true, it could kill us all with its bare hands." The elevator reached their deck. The figure stepped out and walked calmly. Down the corridor toward the bridge, it moved without hurry, as if it had all the time in the universe. 30 seconds until it reaches us," Vex-High announced. "Remember, aim for center mass. Full power, all together." The bridge doors slid open. The figure stepped inside and stopped. For a long moment, nobody moved. The pirates kept their weapons trained on the intruder. The intruder seemed to be studying them. Up close, they could see more details. The armor was indeed primitive-looking, but it seemed to shimmer slightly, as if it was made of something more than simple metal. The figure was shorter than Vex-High, but there was something about its posture that suggested incredible strength. The figure reached up and removed its helmet. The face underneath was unlike anything in the modern galaxy. Smooth skin, small eyes, hair on the top of its head. But there was something familiar about the features, as if this face was the template from which all other faces were copied. "Hello," the figure said in perfect galactic common. Its voice was calm and friendly, as if it had just dropped by for a visit. "I'm Commander Chen. I believe you've been expecting me." Vex-High's 4 hands trembled as he kept his weapon aimed at the human. "Stay back! We're armed!" Commander Chen looked at the assembled weapons and smiled. Not a threatening smile, but the kind of smile one might give to children playing with toy guns. "I can see that," Chen said pleasantly. "Those are some nice weapons you have there. Pre-war Zephyrian plasma rifles, insectoid energy blades, and is that a goblin shock pistol? Good choice. Very reliable." The casual way the human identified their weapons sent chills through the crew. This was supposed to be a tense standoff, but Commander Chen acted like they were having a friendly conversation about hobbies. "Now then," Chen continued, clasping hands behind their back, "I think we need to have a little chat about your recent activities." Commander Chen stood in the middle of the bridge, completely relaxed. 50 pirates surrounded the human with weapons drawn, and Chen looked like someone waiting for a bus. This was not how dangerous situations were supposed to work. "What do you want?" Vex-High demanded, trying to keep his voice steady. His 4 arms kept his plasma rifle aimed at the human's chest. "What I want," Chen said with a small smile, "is to understand why you think raiding defenseless mining colonies is a good career choice." "We're pirates," snarled Drock, the lead rockman. "This is what we do." Chen nodded thoughtfully, as if this was a reasonable explanation. "I see. And how's that working out for you?" The question caught everyone off guard. Pirates did not usually get asked about job satisfaction. "We make good money," Zark squeaked from behind his shock pistol. "Do you, though?" Chen asked. Because, according to my records, your crew has been robbing small settlements for 3 years and you're barely covering your ship maintenance costs. This was true, but how could the human possibly know that? Their financial records were encrypted and stored in hidden databases. Chen continued talking while casually walking around the bridge, examining the equipment. The pirates kept their weapons trained on the human, but somehow Chen managed to stay, just out of direct line of fire without seeming to try. "Let's see," Chen said, stopping at Slicks's computer station. "Your last 12 raids netted approximately 40,000 credits each, minus fuel costs, equipment replacement, crew wages, and ship repairs. You're making about 8,000 credits per raid." Slicks's serpentine eyes went wide. "Those numbers were exactly right." "That's classified information," he hissed. "Is it?" Chen asked mildly. The human touched the computer screen, and financial records began scrolling past. "Your encryption is quite good by current galactic standards. I'm impressed." The way Chen said current galactic standards made it sound like there were other standards. Better standards. "How are you accessing our systems?" Vexhai growled. Chen looked up from the computer with genuine surprise. "Oh, you're still using quantum encryption? That's adorable. We stopped using that about 3,000 years ago. Too easy to break." 3,000 years. The human said it like it was yesterday. "Impossible," Slicks protested. "Quantum encryption is unbreakable. Every computer expert in the galaxy agrees." "Every current computer expert," Chen corrected gently. "But then again, every current computer expert learned from textbooks written by species that learned everything from the Galactic Archive." The human paused, as if deciding whether to continue. "And who do you think created the Galactic Archive?" The question hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. Everyone knew the archive was ancient, older than any current civilization. It contained the collected knowledge of the galaxy, available to all species for free, but nobody knew where it came from. Chen moved to another console and began typing. The ship's main display screen came to life, showing file after file of data. "Kepler 7 mining colony," Chen read aloud. "Raid conducted 3 days ago. Estimated damages, 47,000 credits. Estimated psychological trauma to colonists, severe. Estimated impact on local economy, catastrophic." Pictures appeared on the screen. The pirates recognized them as surveillance footage from their raid. But this footage was different from what they remembered. It showed the colonists' faces clearly, showed their fear, showed children crying. 18 families now unable to pay for food, Chen continued in that same calm voice. 7 children who will have nightmares for months. 3 elderly colonists who suffered heart problems from the stress. The bridge was quiet, except for the clicking of insectoid mandibles. Several crew members looked uncomfortable. "We didn't kill anyone," Vexhai said defensively. "No, you didn't," Chen agreed. "That's actually in your favor. But let me ask you something. Do you know what happened to the medicine shipment that was supposed to arrive at Kepler 7 yesterday?" Nobody answered. "It was delayed because the colony couldn't afford to pay for it after your raid. The medicine was for treating Carillion fever in children. Without it, at least 2 young colonists will die within a week." The silence on the bridge was deafening. Chen turned away from the display and looked directly at Vexhai. For the first time since entering the bridge, the human's expression was not friendly. "So let me ask again. How is the piracy business? Working out for you?" Vexhai felt something he had not felt in years. Shame. He pushed the feeling away and focused on anger instead. "What gives you the right to judge us?" he snarled. "You're just one person on a ship with 50 pirates. We have you outnumbered," Chen's friendly expression returned. "Do you?" The human pulled out a small device that looked like a communication unit. "Status report," Chen said into it. 7 pirate vessels secured," came a voice from the device. "All crews detained, no casualties, awaiting further orders." Vexhai's blood went cold. "That's impossible. Our fleet is spread across 3 star systems. Was spread, Chen corrected. They're all in the same holding area now. Your crews are safe and unharmed, by the way. We don't believe in unnecessary violence. We? Zark whispered. Chen smiled again, but this time it was different. This time it was the smile of someone who had been playing a game while everyone else thought it was real life. Did you really think I came alone? The human asked. I'm just here to handle the negotiations. The real work was done by my colleagues, while we've been chatting. The ship's AI spoke again. Attention! All pirate vessels in fleet have been secured by unknown technology. All crew members except bridge personnel have been safely detained. Unknown technology, Chen repeated thoughtfully. Your AI is being polite. It knows exactly what technology was used. It just doesn't want to frighten you more than necessary. Chen walked over to HFY, moving slowly and keeping hands visible. The captain kept his weapon trained on the human, but somehow it felt pointless now. Captain HFY of the Zephyrian Republic, formerly of the merchant vessel Lucky Strike, Chen said. You turned to piracy after your legitimate cargo business failed due to loan shark debts. You've been running from the Galactic Authority for 4 years. You have a younger sister on Zephyr Prime who thinks you died in a shipping accident. HFY's forearms trembled. Nobody alive knew those details about his past. How? He whispered. We've been watching, Chen said simply. We watch everyone. We watch everything. It's what we do. The human stepped back and addressed the entire bridge crew. You have a choice to make now. You can surrender peacefully and face justice through proper galactic courts. Your crimes are serious, but nobody has been killed, so the sentences won't be too harsh. Probably 5 to 10 years in. Rehabilitation facilities. Chen paused and let that sink in. Or, the human continued, you can try to fight, in which case I will have to call in my colleagues and things will become much more complicated for everyone involved. What if we choose option 3? Slicks asked nervously. Option 3, we kill you and try to escape. Chen looked genuinely puzzled by this suggestion. With what weapons? Everyone looked down at their guns. The energy readings showed 0. Every weapon had been mysteriously disabled while they were talking. When did you do that? HFY asked, amazed despite himself. About 15 minutes ago, Chen replied. Right around the time you were explaining how dangerous you all are. The human walked to the center of the bridge and looked around at all the stunned faces. So, what's it going to be? HFY looked at his useless weapon, then at his crew, then back at Commander Chen. The human waited patiently, as if they had all the time in the universe. You can't expect us to just surrender, HFY said finally. We're pirates. We have a reputation to maintain. Chen nodded understandingly. I respect that. Reputation is important in your line of work. The human pulled out the small communication device again. This is Chen. The pirates are choosing the difficult option. Please prepare demonstration level 1. Understood, came the voice from the device. Beginning demonstration. Nothing happened. For a few seconds. Then the lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing the bridge in red light. The air recycling system shut down with a mechanical wheeze. The background hum of the ship's engines faded to silence. Life support offline, announced the ship's AI in its maddeningly calm voice. The crew began to panic. Without life support, they had maybe 20 minutes of air left in the bridge. Turn it back on, Slicks demanded, his serpentine body coiling in distress. Chen checked a small device on their wrist. Oxygen levels currently at 20% and dropping. Carbon dioxide levels rising. At current rate, you'll lose consciousness in approximately 18 minutes. You're killing us, Zark squeaked. Am I? Chen asked mildly. Because I don't remember touching anything. The human was right. Chen had been standing in the middle of the bridge, hands visible, doing nothing but talking. How are you controlling our ship? HFY gasped as the air grew thinner. I'm not, Chen replied. But someone is. The lights came back on. The air Recycling system hummed back to life. Fresh oxygen began flowing again. Just a demonstration, Chen explained as everyone took grateful breaths. We could have left the life support off, but where's the educational value in that? Drock, the largest rock man, stepped forward menacingly. Enough games! I'm going to crush you with my bare hands. Chen looked interested. That's an excellent idea. Please try. Drock charged. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall and built like a walking boulder. His stone-like fists could punch through steel plating. He swung at Chen with enough force to shatter concrete. His fist stopped centimeters from Chen's face. Drock strained, putting all his considerable strength into the punch. Veins bulged on his rocky forehead. His feet cracked the deck plating from the effort. His fist would not move forward. Interesting, Chen observed, studying Drock's frozen attack. Your species generates impressive force, nearly 12,000 pounds per square inch. Drock was stuck in place like a statue. His eyes showed confusion and growing panic. Personal force fields, Chen explained to the watching crew. Very handy for situations like this. The human walked around the frozen rockman, examining him from different angles. The field is calibrated to stop incoming attacks while allowing normal movement. Watch. Chen reached out and gently patted Drock on the shoulder. The touch worked normally, but aggressive actions are prevented, Chen continued, stepping back. Drock was released. He stumbled backward, off balance from his frozen attack. How is that possible? He rumbled in confusion. Advanced technology, Chen said simply. We've had a long time to work on it. The human's communication device buzzed. Chen answered it. Chen, here. Demonstration level 2 is ready, came the voice. Proceed. The ship's manufacturing bay came online. Everyone could hear the machines starting up in the lower decks. What's happening now? Vex-High demanded. Chen walked over to the ship's internal monitoring station and activated the display screen. It showed the manufacturing bay where robotic systems were working at incredible speed. We're making some items we'll need, Chen explained on. The screen they watched as the manufacturing systems produced restraints. Not just any restraints, but perfectly sized ones. A set for each species, each individual crew member. How do you know our measurements? Slicks asked nervously. We scanned everyone when I first boarded, Chen replied. Standard procedure. The manufacturing took less than 5 minutes. When it was finished, small robots began carrying the restraints through the ship's corridors. Don't worry, Chen assured the increasingly nervous crew. They're quite comfortable, padded, adjustable, and they allow full circulation. Vex-High made a decision. Run! The bridge crew scattered, heading for different exits. The human made no move to stop them. Slicks reached the main exit first. The door opened normally, but as he tried to slither through, something stopped him. An invisible barrier blocked the doorway. Zark tried a maintenance hatch. Same result. The insectoids attempted to cut through the walls with their energy blades, but the weapons still wouldn't work. Within minutes, everyone was back on the bridge, looking frustrated and defeated. The entire ship is contained, Chen explained. Think of it as a very large holding cell. The human's communication device buzzed again. Chen, we have a problem. What kind of problem? 3 more pirate fleets are heading toward this position. Looks like they heard about the raid and want their share of the profits. Vex-High perked up. That's the Iron Claw Brotherhood and the Star Reapers. When they get here, you'll be outnumbered. 300 to 1, Chen looked thoughtful. 300 to 1. That does sound challenging. The human spoke into the communication device. How long until they arrive? 18 minutes. Perfect. That gives us time for demonstration level 3. Chen turned to address the bridge crew. Would you like to see what happens when we stop being polite? Before anyone could answer, the ship's external cameras activated. The main screen showed the space around them. It was full of ships, not pirate ships. Those were still approaching. These were sleek, silver vessels that seemed to bend light around themselves. They moved in perfect formation, like schools of fish swimming through space. "Where did they come from?" Vexhai whispered. "They were always there," Chen replied. "You just couldn't see them." As they watched, the silver ships began to move. They spread out in a pattern that would intercept the approaching pirate fleets from all angles. "How many ships do you have?" Zark asked in awe. Chen consulted the device on their wrist. "For this operation?" "About 200. 200 ships. For us." Vexhai was stunned. "We're just small-time pirates." "Oh, these aren't all for you," Chen clarified. "Some of them are here for the Iron Claw Brotherhood, others are for the Star Reapers. We like to be thorough." On the screen, they could see the approaching pirate fleets. The Iron Claw Brotherhood had 40 ships. The Star Reapers had 35. Combined with Vexhai's 7 vessels, it was an impressive force. It looked tiny compared to the human fleet. "This isn't possible," Slicks protested. "No one has that many ships. Even the Galactic Authority's entire navy only has about 300 vessels." "The Galactic Authority navy that you know about," Chen corrected gently. The first pirate fleet came into weapons range. Their ships opened fire on the silver human vessels. The energy beams and missiles simply disappeared. Not blocked, not deflected. Gone, as if they had never existed. The human ships didn't fire back. Instead, they moved closer. As they watched in fascination, the pirate ships began to simply stop. Their engines cut out, their weapons powered down, their lights dimmed to emergency levels. "What are you doing to them?" Vexhai asked. "Taking control of their vessels," Chen replied matter-of-factly. "Same thing we did to yours, just faster now that we don't need to be subtle about it." Within 10 minutes, both approaching pirate fleets were floating dead in space, completely helpless. "Status report," Chen said into the communication device. "All hostile vessels secured. Total crew count, 317 pirates. All detained safely, no casualties." Chen looked around the bridge at the stunned faces. "Any questions?" Drock raised one massive stone hand like a student in class. "Yes?" Chen said politely. "Who are you people, really?" Commander Chen smiled, and, for the first time, it looked sad. "We're the species that's been taking care of the galaxy while everyone else grew up." The detention area was not what the pirates expected. Instead of a dark, cramped prison cell, they found themselves in a comfortable room with proper lighting, beds, and even entertainment screens. The restraints Chen had mentioned turned out to be surprisingly comfortable bands around their wrists. They could move freely within the room, but could not leave it. Commander Chen sat in a chair across from the group, looking relaxed and friendly. The human had brought what appeared to be legal documents and a small computer. "Before we process your paperwork for the Galactic Authority," Chen said, "I thought you might be curious about a few things." "Like what?" Vexhai asked. He was trying to maintain his dignity as a pirate captain, but it was difficult when sitting on what was essentially the most comfortable prison bed he had ever experienced. "Like who we really are," Chen replied, "and why your ship's AI identified me as Species 001. The pirates exchanged glances. They had been wondering about this, but had been afraid to ask. Chen activated the small computer, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed the galaxy as seen from high above, with different colored areas marking different civilizations. "This is the galaxy as it exists today," Chen explained. 43 major spacefaring civilizations, hundreds of smaller ones, about 12 billion intelligent beings total. The display zoomed in on various sections, showing familiar star systems and trade routes. "And this," Chen continued, changing the display, "is what the galaxy looked like 50,000 years ago." The new image showed the same galaxy, but almost completely dark. Only a few small areas showed any signs of civilization. "Where is everyone?" Slicks asked, his serpentine neck craning forward to get a better look. "They hadn't evolved yet," Chen said simply. Most of your species were still learning to use tools. The Zephyrians were just figuring out agriculture. The Rockmen were still living in caves. Drock looked offended. My people have always been advanced, Chen smiled kindly. Drock, your people discovered fire about 30,000 years ago. That's very impressive, by the way. Fire is not easy when you're made of stone. The display changed again, showing a single bright spot in the galaxy. This was us, humans. We had been spacefaring for about 20,000 years at that point. 20,000 years? Zark squeaked. But the oldest civilizations we know of are only 5,000 years old. Exactly, Chen nodded. Because that's when we helped them get started. The human gestured, and the display began moving through time. They watched as the single bright spot of human civilization slowly spread across the galaxy. But it didn't spread by conquest or colonization. Instead, small new lights began appearing in other systems. We would find a promising species, Chen explained, and give them a little help, a cure for a disease that was holding them back, a solution to a resource shortage, sometimes just a gentle push in the right direction. The display showed more and more civilizations appearing and growing. But the original human area remained constant, never expanding aggressively. You guided our evolution? Vexhai asked, amazed. Not evolution, Chen corrected. That happened naturally. We just helped with the obstacles that might have stopped you from reaching the stars. Slicks was studying the display intently. But where are human territories now? I don't see them on the current map. Chen paused the display and looked at the pirates thoughtfully. That's an interesting question. Where do you think we are? I don't know, Slicks admitted. There's no record of human space in any current database. Isn't there? Chen asked gently. The human activated a different program on the computer. Star charts appeared showing the current galaxy with all known civilizations marked. Look closer, Chen suggested. The pirates stared at the familiar maps. They could see Zephyrian space, Rockman territories, insectoid colonies, all the usual civilizations. I don't see any human space, Zark said, confused. Chen highlighted certain systems with a soft blue glow. The blue dots appeared everywhere, scattered through every civilization's territory, along every trade route, near every major colony. Those are human observation posts, Chen explained. We never left. We just stopped being visible. The scope of it was staggering. There were thousands of blue dots spread across the entire galaxy. You've been watching us all this time? Drock rumbled. Watching, helping, protecting, Chen confirmed. Your species faced dangers you don't even know about. Black hole storms that could sterilize entire systems. Rogue AI networks that could consume all technology. Plague organisms from dark space that could wipe out biological life. The display showed examples of each threat. The pirates watched in growing horror as they saw the magnitude of dangers that apparently existed beyond their knowledge. How many times have you saved us? Vexhai asked quietly. Chen consulted the computer. Your specific ship? 17 times in the last 4 years. What? Vexhai stood up so quickly he nearly fell over. We never asked for help. You never knew you needed it, Chen replied calmly. Engine failure prevented by a mysteriously helpful maintenance bot. Navigation errors corrected by helpful software updates. That cosmic radiation storm that mysteriously changed course just before it would have killed your entire crew. As Chen spoke, memories came flooding back to all the pirates. Strange coincidences that had saved their lives over the years, equipment that had been mysteriously repaired, dangers that had vanished just when things looked hopeless. All of it? Zark whispered. Not all, Chen said. Sometimes you genuinely got lucky, but most of the time, someone was watching out for you. Why? Slicks demanded. We're criminals. We steal from innocent people. Chen looked sad again. Because you're still people, and people deserve a chance to make better choices. The human brought up another display. This one showing the Galactic Archive, the massive database of knowledge that all civilizations used. This is probably our most visible contribution, Chen said. Every species gets free access to the collected knowledge of the galaxy. Medicine, technology, science, art. All of it available to anyone who asks. You created the archive? Vexhai was stunned. We maintain it, Chen clarified. Every species contributes to it, but we make sure it stays, organized and available. Think of us as the galaxy's librarians. But why remain hidden? Drock asked. If you're so powerful, why not just rule everything? Chen was quiet for a long moment, staring at the display. Because we tried that once, the human said finally. About 40,000 years ago. We decided that since we were more advanced, we should guide the younger species more directly. The display changed to show what looked like a war. Ships fighting across star systems, planets burning. It was a disaster, Chen continued. Species that were guided too closely never learned to think for themselves. Others rebelled against our guidance and destroyed themselves fighting us. Entire civilizations were lost. The pirates watched the historical display in silence. The scope of the ancient war was beyond anything in their modern experience. We learned that the best way to help someone grow up is to let them make their own mistakes, Chen said, but also to make sure those mistakes don't kill them. So you became guardians instead of rulers, Vexhai said, understanding. Exactly. We watch, we help when necessary, we protect against the truly dangerous threats, but we let everyone make their own choices about how to live. Chen stood up and walked over to the legal documents. Which brings us back to you. You've made some poor choices lately. The question is, what are you going to do about it? The human picked up the papers and looked at the assembled pirates. I have to turn you over to the Galactic Authority. Your crimes are real, and there have to be consequences. But after you serve your sentences, you'll have a choice to make. What kind of choice? Vexhai asked. You can go back to being pirates, in which case we'll probably have this conversation again in a few years. Or you can find something better to do with your lives. Chen paused and looked directly at each pirate in turn. For what it's worth, I hope you choose better. The galaxy has enough problems without good people making bad choices. The human moved toward the door, then stopped and turned back. Any final questions before we reach the authority station? Slicks raised his hand nervously. Yes? How many of you are there? Humans, I mean. Commander Chen smiled mysteriously. How many do you think the galaxy needs? The Galactic Authority Station was massive. It floated in neutral space, a gleaming city-sized structure that served as the center of interstellar law enforcement. Vexhai had never seen it before. Pirates generally tried to avoid places like this. As their ship approached the docking bay, Vexhai noticed something strange. Every authority vessel they passed seemed to move out of their way with unusual respect. Traffic controllers guided them to a priority docking port usually reserved. For diplomatic vessels, why are they treating us like VIPs? Zark whispered nervously. Commander Chen, who had been quietly reviewing legal documents, looked up with a small smile. They're not treating you like VIPs, they're treating me like one. The docking procedure was surprisingly smooth. Usually, captured pirates were dragged off their ships in chains and thrown into holding cells. Instead, authority personnel boarded their ship politely and waited for Chen to finish the paperwork. The authority captain was a tall, blue-skinned Altarian with 4 eyes and an impressive uniform covered in medals. When Chen stood to greet him, the captain actually saluted. Commander Chen, the captain said formally, it's an honor to have you aboard our station. Captain Vexhal, Chen replied with a respectful nod. Thank you for processing this transfer so quickly. Vexhai blinked in confusion. The authority captain had the same name as him, just spelled slightly differently. The captain noticed his stare. Yes, we're both Zephyrian, he explained. I chose a different path than you did, obviously. As the pirates were led through the station, they were amazed by what they saw. The authority personnel didn't treat them like dangerous criminals. Instead, they were polite and professional, as if the pirates were just unfortunate people who had made some bad decisions. The processing center was clean and efficient. Each pirate was interviewed individually, had their crimes documented, and was assigned to appropriate rehabilitation facilities. The sentences were fair, longer for the more serious crimes, but focused on education and job training rather than punishment. Vexhai found himself sitting across from a judicial arbiter, a wise-looking rockman who reviewed his case with careful attention. "Captain Vexhai," the arbiter said in a voice like grinding stone, "your record shows 37 counts of theft, 14 counts of armed robbery, and 6 counts of assault. However, it also shows 0 murders, 0 cases of unnecessary violence, and several instances where you helped other ships in distress." "I'm not a monster," Vexhai said quietly. "No, you're not," the arbiter agreed. "You're someone who made poor choices when faced with difficult circumstances. The question is, are you ready to make better choices?" The arbiter pulled up Vexhai's personal history on his computer. "Your cargo business failed due to loan shark debts. You turned to piracy to pay them off. But the loan sharks died in an accident 2 years ago and their records were destroyed. Legally, you don't owe anyone anything anymore." Vexhai stared in shock. "The debts are gone?" "They have been for 2 years, the arbiter confirmed. "You've been running from a debt that no longer exists." As the day continued, similar revelations came to light for other crew members. Drock discovered that his criminal record from his homeworld had been expunged due to new evidence. Slicks learned that his family had been searching for him and wanted him to come home. Zark found out that his technical skills were in high demand, and several legitimate companies wanted to hire him. By evening, all the pirates had been processed and assigned to rehabilitation facilities. But before they were transferred, Commander Chen requested a final meeting with them. They gathered in the same comfortable room where they had received their history lesson. Chen looked tired but satisfied. "Your sentences range from 5 to 8 years, Chen began. "The facilities you're going to are focused on education and job training. When you get out, you'll have marketable skills and clean legal records." "Clean records?" Slicks asked in surprise. "But we're convicted criminals." "The Galactic Authority has a rehabilitation program," Chen explained. "Complete your sentence, demonstrate that you've changed, and your record gets sealed. As far as the rest of the galaxy is concerned, you'll have a fresh start." Vexhai leaned forward. "Why are you telling us this?" "Because I want you to understand something important," Chen replied. "This isn't just punishment. This is an opportunity. You can come out of this better than you went in." The human stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars beyond the station. "When I was reviewing your files, I realized something. Every one of you turned to piracy because you felt like you had no other choice. Debt, criminal records, family problems. You all thought the legitimate world had given up on you." Chen turned back to face them. "But that was never true. There were always other options. You just couldn't see them because you were too focused on immediate problems." "Easy to say now," Drock grumbled. "When you have unlimited resources and advanced technology?" "You think this is easy?" Chen asked, sounding genuinely curious. "Let me tell you about my typical day." The human sat back down and pulled up a display on their computer. "Yesterday, I prevented a war between the Centauri Federation and the Vegan Republic by discreetly correcting a translation error in their peace treaty. This morning, I helped evacuate 12,000 colonists from a planet that's about to be hit by a gamma-ray burst. After I leave here, I'm going to investigate reports of slavers in the Outer Rim." The display showed a schedule packed with dozens of similar tasks. "My colleagues are dealing with a rogue AI network near the galactic core, a plague outbreak in the spiral arms, and a potentially hostile first contact situation in unexplored space." Chen closed the display and looked at each pirate in turn. None of this is easy. We do it because someone has to. Because if we don't, people suffer unnecessarily. But why do you care? Zark asked. You're so advanced, you could just ignore the rest of us and live in paradise somewhere. Chen was quiet for a moment, considering the question. Because we learned something important a long time ago, the human said finally. No one can be truly happy while others are suffering unnecessarily. The galaxy is our home too. We want it to be a good place to live. An authority officer knocked on the door. It was time to transfer the pirates to their rehabilitation facilities. As they prepared to leave, Vex High turned to Chen one last time. Will we see you again? Chen smiled. I hope not. If you're making good choices, you probably won't need to meet any more humans. But if we do need help? Then someone will be watching, Chen promised. Someone always is. The pirates were led away to their transports. From the window, Chen watched them go, then activated the communication device. Chen to command. Pirate. Operation completed successfully. All subjects transferred to rehabilitation. Understood, came the reply. Your next assignment is ready. Slavers in Sector 7 are using illegal mind control technology on kidnapped colonists. Chen sighed and headed toward the docking bay where their ship waited. On my way. As the human ship departed the authority station, it seemed to shimmer and fade until it was invisible against the stars. To any casual observer, it would appear that Commander Chen had simply vanished. But in rehabilitation facilities across the galaxy, former pirates would begin new lives. And in hidden observation posts throughout known space, other humans continued their eternal watch. Years later, Vex High would graduate from his rehabilitation program with a degree in logistics management. He would get a job with a legitimate shipping company, eventually work his way up to fleet manager, and spend his spare time volunteering with a program that helped young people avoid criminal lives. He would never see Commander Chen again. But sometimes, when things looked impossible at work or in his personal life, a solution would appear just when he needed it most. A helpful technical manual would arrive in his email. A computer glitch that should have been disastrous would mysteriously fix itself. A dangerous shipping route would be unexpectedly declared safe after an equipment malfunction eliminated the hazard. And Vex High would smile and whisper to himself, "Someone is watching." In the depths of space, monitoring stations that officially didn't exist would detect his words and file them under rehabilitation successful. The archive entry would be simple. Species 001, human. Status active. Threat level. Protector. Mission. Ongoing. The galaxy was large and full of dangers, but it was also full of guardians who had chosen to care for it. Most people would never know they were there, but that was exactly how the guardians preferred it.